What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass. Like and subscribe. So Philip Spencer Dominus Maximus Aurelius, first of his name. I saw Gladiator 2, by the way. It's a good movie. It's a good sequel. Denzel was... Did he get got? He got, right? I'm trying to remember. Anyway, video games. So Phil Spencer did an interview with mainstream media for I don't remember what it was, the outlet, but doesn't matter. And he said something of the sort of not Game Pass isn't for everyone, basically. And he was describing the person who buys 2 games a year, and that's all they play. They play Call of Duty, they play Madden, that's it. They play Fortnite, that's it. Then you don't need Game Pass. Does it make sense, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that. That's being honest. But of course, the donkey unicorns and the ponies, what do? They run with it. And any outlet that is running with the tagline, Game Pass isn't for you or Game Pass isn't for everyone, donkey unicorn / pony, because you took it out of context, and that just putting that out there is bait. It's bait. You take it, you separate it, like I said, out of context, and you put it up as a headline. And it's like, that's not. I mean, context is always important, and you know what you're doing. It's the cycle of sensationalist headlines in order for them to get clicks. That's why I don't have a website. That's why I don't really do this for money, because when you do stuff for money, then it tends to skew your motivations, let's just say. If I had to make money for people on my staff on a website or whatever, right, I gotta do what I gotta do to pay my people, right? So I'll put up a stupid headline like that, right? And that's what's happening in the industry. If you look at people like Reforge, he got to feed his family. He got to feed his little giblets. I don't know how many giblets he got, but that's his living. That's what he do. So he's got to say stupid things so people keep clicking and keep subbing or whatever. That's why I like dudes like TBH, because he is genuine. And he just say it like it is, and that's how he gets people to follow and sub and listen to him, because he's just him, And I'm more on. I'm not like him, obviously. He's got more experience in the industry, but I am more aligned with his type of thinking, where you just go, you speak your mind. You make fun of certain people because they pretty much need to make fun of, because ridiculous. Him is the PS4 players. It's a long story. I'm not gonna go through it, but it's pretty funny. He's very entertaining, very good. But then I look at Colin Moriarty, and while his intelligence is great, as you can tell by the size of his cranium, I mean, he has a big head. What's his name has a big head? Jimmy Neutron. What's his name? Lono. He got a big head, but just because you got a big head doesn't mean that all the wiring is right. You know what I'm saying? And in the case of Colin Moriarty, he is very intelligent, highly intelligent, but he's got a business. He got people to pay. He got a family to family. So, I mean, he does other stuff on the side, I would assume. He's got stocks. He does consulting and all that good stuff, right? But he's got a video game company. He's doing stuff, right? But his YouTube page brings in some dough. His Patreon people bring him some dough. So he's got to placate to those people. For me, it's more like, you got Dirt, you got the WBG crew, and y'all are just kind of like a big family. Like the way I look at y'all are like a family. Not mine particularly, because I'm an outsider. I'm not really. I mean, I'm kind of in there a little bit. I got some of you guys, listening to me, and I definitely appreciate. But and Dirt shouted me out, and Sean shouted me out, kind of sorta. But I appreciate y'all, and that's the vibe that I'm looking for. Not looking for, but that's the vibe that I want to be a part of. Let's just say that, because it's like y'all just having fun, joking, not when stuff goes down, we there, we got to back each other up and stuff like that, and it's cool. It's like you chilling with your boys, just talking shit, and that's kind of part of like the culture. It's any type of, like, whether it's sports or movies. This happens to be video games, and it's all the same. It's all good, and that's part of the happy, good feeling that you get when you're part of a community that's not toxic and not trying to win, just trying to have fun. But what Phil was saying is that if you only buy one game, whatever, 2 games, Game Pass ain't for you. But if you do, there's a lot of stuff he says, and the thing about Phil is that he's a businessman, right? He is a coder turned businessman, right? So he was, like I said, I've said this many times, he was making Encarta, he was doing all kind of goofy Microsoft programs back in the day. They were called programs back in the day, not apps, which is short for application. But no, they're programs. They came on disk and stuff, Encarta. And so first he's a coder. I would say first he's a gamer, then he's a coder, then he's a businessman, CEO guy, right? But he does that CEO stuff real good. And the fact that he is a gamer, and he is more than just a gamer or a fan of games, he's been in there making apps, making programs in the code. So he is, I think, out of all of the CEOs except for Miyamoto, who is it? Is it? He's still there, right? He was making games too, so I'll give him that. I'll give Miyamoto that. But Phil, I always say they're doing like 3D chess, 69D chess, whatever D chess, and you like the longer the trajectory of all these 3 companies, right? Microsoft. Let's do it this way: Microsoft, Nintendo, PlayStation, right? Let's do it like this: Microsoft, Nintendo, PlayStation, right? They start from this point where it's like, oh, video game consoles, and then you sell consoles, and then you sell games, right? And then they start to split off, right? And they're like, oh, yeah. And then PlayStation's like, oh, yeah, PlayStation's the best one. And then Nintendo's the best one. And Microsoft is here. And then the 24, then Phil came in, right? And then it started splintering like this, splintering, right? And so now Microsoft is over here, and PlayStation and Nintendo are here. They're still doing the same from back in the 80s, back in the 90s. But Microsoft switched it up. And so I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the trajectory, and I'm like, yo, Nintendo and Sony, I'm not going to say they're in trouble, but you see what they're doing. They're raising prices in order to milk more money out of their existing fan base, their existing customers, instead of trying to gain new customers. And how do you gain new customers? Well, you can't do it the traditional way, because there's only a finite amount of customers within the console construct, arena, area, whatever you want to call it, right? So you have a finite amount of console players. And then the next generation coming up, kids, they're not console players. They're not. The closest thing to a console is the Switch. That's why the Switch sold 150 something million, because their parents bought their kids Switches. They were cheap, multiple Switches for multiple kids in each family. That's how that worked. That's why there's so many sold. Plus, however many PlayStations. We don't even know the number, because they won't give us the number. They're just giving us what they're manufacturing. So we're not even going to go there. And so they are still stuck in the old ways. Yes, they're trying, like Nintendo, they're trying to kind of creak and ease their way into online gaming and services and games as service and stuff. And Sony is trying to do it and failing at every attempt. Concord, wow, I keep saying Concord too. Marathon looks like it might not be what they need it to be. At this point, these games, the service games that Sony makes, they need to be smash hit, world-changing games, better than Fortnite, better than Call. It needs to be the best game ever created. Everybody's playing it. That's what they need, because anything less than that, it's a failure, because they have canceled so many games in the red. Concord, worst game ever created, worst failure in the history of video games. That's on Sony. That's on PlayStation. PlayStation has that boost stamp as creating the worst failure in video games. That's Sony. That's PlayStation. Sorry to beleaguer the point, but they're on this trajectory that has them some point in the future. If they do not change and do what Microsoft is doing, they will fail, period. Or they're just going to be static. They're going to be small. They're not going to grow. And the uppers want growth. They want more money. You know what I'm saying? And so Microsoft figured out a way. They said, okay, if we do multi-plat, not everything, not the whole slate. Everybody said all these ponies nugget you, whole slate, but it's not the whole slate. And you could tell, Indiana Jones comes, Forza's there, they're selling like crazy on PlayStation. They're taking over PlayStation. If the roles were reversed and PlayStation was selling all these games on Xbox, all these ponies and duck unicorns are like, yeah, we told you our games are better. That's why you Xbox are buying these games instead of your own games. Now, let me flip that and say the same thing about PlayStation ponies. Yeah, Xbox games are better than PlayStation games. I mean, you don't have to ask me. Just go on the PlayStation store and look what are the top sellingest games, the top pre-ordered games. What are they? Not PlayStation games. On PlayStation, the platform, the home team is not winning right now. And your home team, at your home stadium, you are losing. And from your biggest rival. That could be argued, because I still say Nintendo's probably the biggest rival, because they screwed them over the biggest, the worst. Anyway, Microsoft is on a trajectory, and all these fanboys may be crying, like Tim Dog and all that stuff. They may be crying, but I'm looking at it and I'm like, if they keep going and they don't do nothing stupid, like try to follow the trends and raise prices, don't do it. Don't be like market temperatures or market conditions. No, you have enough money to eat a little bit of the cost. Be that company. I mean, they have been the customer first company for a minute, but you need to continue that, because it's only going to separate you from, PlayStation and Nintendo right now. And it'll align you closer to what Valve is doing, what Valve has done over the years. Valve was trash, hot garbage when it first came out, but they did things, they made, and now everybody loves it. It's the de facto thing to play on a computer. That's what it is. On PC, that's where you go. You go Valve. You want to play games? Valve. That's it. Steam. You go to Steam. That's it. There's no question. Nothing else. I mean, GOG, sure, but for mainstream, and it's Steam. And so, by Microsoft doing what they're doing, they're coming closer to what Steam is, aligning closer to the movement, the morale. I don't know, the business, not the business model, but just the ideas of how Steam operates, instead of milking your customers and not trying to get more customers. And it helps that Microsoft, the one thing that Microsoft has over Steam, Xbox has over Steam, is that they are making games. And so Steam is getting 30% off of everybody, millions of games, hundreds of thousands of games a year, right? But Microsoft is getting that 70, So if a game pops off on Steam, Microsoft's getting that 70. If it pops off on Game Pass, I mean, they got the sub. If somebody buys it off the Microsoft store, they got 100. So you look at what Microsoft is doing. They're getting 30. I'm sorry. They're getting Game Pass. They're getting 70, and they're getting 100, and they're getting 30 from PlayStation. I'm sorry. They're getting 70 from PlayStation. That was wrong way. So they're getting 70, Game Pass 100, game sales 100. They diversified how they get money. And people are like, oh, Xbox is dead. Blah, blah, blah. It's so dumb. And I'm like, look, I would love it if Microsoft could somehow have Sony get a taste of their own medicine. You know, all the devious things that they've been doing throughout the years, let Sony taste that. But I don't want Microsoft to be Sony, right? Because that's not a good look. I don't want to have any type of affiliation or anything with a company that is acting like Sony. That's why I don't buy Sony products. That's why I don't have a PlayStation, because I'm like, you're not getting my money because you're not treating your customers right. Raising prices. PSN just went up. The cost of the consoles went. Look, I'm not making this up. This is what's happening. And I see all these content creators, oh my God, they're raising the prices. Ha ha ha. Oh my gosh. You know, and I'm like, y'all still gonna buy that shit? Y'all still gonna buy that crap? Sorry for the bad word. I got a song coming out that I'm writing that's gonna have a lot of bad words in it. I've reached a point where it's just, you just don't care, you know? You just don't give a F anymore. I'll try not to curse too many times on this though, even though it's not for kids. Anyway, the movements that Microsoft is making, Xbox is making, all these games coming, Doom is coming. I'm still in the middle of South of Midnight. Towerborn is coming. There's so many games that I always forget one. We saw the Outer Worlds 2. IGN did their goofy, messed up presentation. The IGN is really a piece of. I would expect the quality coming out of IGN probably from me. Like, okay, I could probably mess something up real good like that. Probably not. But you got lights. Okay. I was watching Luke Stevens and he pointed it out. I was like, if you have lights and you're indoor and you saw the reflection of the lights on something, I forgot what it was. And you got, it's off the windows in the back. You got two bright ass lights. They're big like lights. How do you have noise in your footage? Who set up the camera? What's going on? What camera is it? I hope it's not a Sony, because y'all just love Sony. So I'm gonna get a Sony camera, and I didn't buy a Sony camera. Everybody and their mama like, yo, buy the Sony camera, get the AZ27 or whatever it is. I don't care. I was like, nah, I'm gonna stick with Canon. I got Canon. I had a Canon before. I'm gonna get a Canon now. I got the R8. I was like, you know what? I was looking at the the R5. I was like, let me get the R8 first. Let me see what I could do with this real quick. 4K 60. I'm like, all right, I do 4K 60, and it actually records in a higher. It super samples it from 6K, and it super samples it down to 4K. So that's kind of cool. I mean, maybe they could do an update and have it in if they did an update, or somebody did an update, hacked it, and put it so that you could record in 6K. That would be dope. That would be, since it already records in 6K and downsamples it to 4K. I'm like, why can't you? Anyway, that's camera stuff. But I'm gonna start doing some stuff with that. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put it on the channel, but I'll see what I'll do. But anyway, Microsoft is on the right trajectory. Nintendo and Sony, not so much. Sony, definitely not. Nintendo, it's just their prices. They just messed up. Now they have a chance to course correct like they did with the 3DS. I'm going to say let's wait for about 3 or 4 months. If the Switch 2 is not selling like they want it, the price is going to drop. If those games ain't selling like they want it, price is going to drop. I guarantee you, because they did it before. So I won't worry too much about it. I mean, they're going to milk the whales. They're going to milk the early adopters. But besides that, like the mainstream moms and pops with the kids, they're not buying that. They're not buying that. So they're going to learn. They're going to learn. And I think maybe they're doing this just to get those whales, to pay a little extra until they say, okay, we're going to drop the price in 4 months and boom, and do a 3DS on everybody. So if y'all are not liking the price of the Switch 2 and the games, wait. Don't buy it right now. Wait for like I said, 4 months. I think it was 4 months when they decided to drop the price on the 3DS. Wait 4 months. And if we all come together and don't buy it, they will drop the price. Because if nobody's buying it, they got no choice. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you buy it and you fall into it and they're getting them sales, it's just gonna be high prices, and that's gonna be on y'all. I'm not buying it. They can kick rocks. They can kick rocks. So, yeah, I mean, the industry is ever changing, but it's very interesting. Interesting how each corporation handles the changing market conditions. And the funny thing is that Microsoft set themselves up since 2014, since Phil came into power. I hate to say it that way. Since Phil came into power and bought Minecraft, and that's hilarious, right? So it's like, what was it, 11 years from when he came in and bought Minecraft, right? I think he bought it in 2014. And that was 2.6 billion or something like that, 2.4, 2.6 billion. And that was the biggest acquisition at the time. It's like, whoa, is Minecraft really worth $2 billion? Come on, everybody's making fun of him, right? What's the movie doing? The movie is going to be like $1 billion movie. I was like, look, I don't think this, like I saw the trailers and stuff. I was like, it's Minecraft. I'll catch it on streaming when it comes out. It's a phenomenon. I was like, I did not expect Minecraft to go over $500 million, and it has done that already. So it's probably going to make $1 billion. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. How? And so they're probably going to make another one. It would be, if your movie makes $1 billion, you make a sequel so you can make at least another $1 billion, or maybe a little bit less than. So yeah. So I mean, I'm glad that Microsoft has a hit in that, and Fallout, the TV show, is actually a hit as well. Halo, which I wish it was a hit. It was high quality, but they just changed so many things, and I don't know if I need to talk to Phil. I need to call Phil. I need to talk to Tim Puppy and get Phil's number so I can call Phil like, yo, listen. This is what you should do. With Halo, forget about the TV series, forget about all the actors that were in that. Make a movie. Make a Halo movie, okay? And be faithful to the game. That's what you need. You can build out extra stories and stuff like that, but first of all, don't show Master Chief's face. We saw that you did. How many times they show Mando's face in The Mandalorian? Pedro's face, like twice. It was twice. Like in the first season, not at all. Wait, did they do it at the end where he got shot up? And they had to heal. The droid had to heal him, but the droid saw him. Wait, did Grogu see him too? I think Grogu might have seen him too, but like nobody else saw him. And then he had to do the undercover thing when he went into the thing, to the compound or whatever. And then he took his thing off then. And then at the end, where he was like, "Oh, my son, Grogu's my baby boy." And Luke showed up. So like 3 times out of like 3, was it 3 seasons? Yeah, I mean, I'm be real. You don't even need to show his face, and just get somebody who sounds cool. I'm not gonna say that sounds like Steve Downs, like sounds like Master Chief, but I think what's his name? Pedro, whatever the dudes that played Master Chief, he did an okay job. He did a pretty good job with the voice. I mean, but they showed too much of his face, and that's the problem. And so, and part of Master Chief on the game side is that they don't show his face, but he still has his own character. But you can still believe that you're Chief because you can kind of implant your own face to him because they don't show his face, kind of, sort of. But I mean, look, they went crazy with the blonde girl, and they had it was crazy. Anyway, I'm sorry, tangent. But yeah, PlayStation and Nintendo out their minds. Microsoft is doing their thizzle. Phil Spencer is like Phil Stradamus. He says stuff and it happens. He's like, he predicts the future. He's super. He must be super intelligent or something, because everything he says is pretty much true. And yeah, and I'm exhausted. I ran out of the game. But I appreciate you hanging out, like and subscribe. Hit me up in the comments below. Let me know what you think about these media outlets. You know, clickbaiting it, all that good stuff. And Minecraft. The Minecraft movie is crazy, right? All those stupid kids messing up theaters. But anyway, I'll talk to y'all next one too. Wait.